Speaking of which, Bernie made a vow last night, and I hope that we are in a position to play this to Bernie Sanders and say, what about this, buddy?
Yeah, I remember. Shut up.
I got it down to 55%.
Yeah, what do you want?
Here is Bernie Sanders
The pragmatist
going
all
on
of a sudden
Face the
whining with
Nation.
my tapes.
And, you know, the dynamic here is great because as the rest of the field, the majority of the field of the Democratic primary contenders move to the left on these questions of health care and whatnot, Bernie is forced to move to the left and get more aggressive with what he is promising. And understanding, look, there's a lot of academic research on this, frankly, and it's counterintuitive. But politicians keep their promises. They tend to. And because it sets the expectations of their electorate. And sometimes they hedge, but more often than not,
they just become smarter about what they promise.
Exactly. But this is a pretty straightforward promise. Bernie Sanders on Face the Nation.
I want to get to the issue of health care. The president this week said he wants the courts to strike down Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. But to be fair, Senator, you want to replace Obamacare too. You want to replace it with Medicare for All, this government-run government.
You know, listen. To be fair, it's really the wrong way to
be relentlessly
He's being
disingenuous.
So fair.
Yeah. To be fair, Bernie, you seem to have two legs.
To be
the
very
president has two legs too. What's the difference?
Yeah, to be very superficial about this because it's easier.
It is
to be relentlessly disingenuous.
It is so weird that they feel like they have to structure a question like that. But go back to the beginning.
To the issue of health care. The president this week said he wants the courts to strike down Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. But to be fair, Senator, you want to replace Obamacare too. You want to replace it with Medicare for All, this government-run, government-financed program. So if the courts strike down the ACA, does that ultimately help you?
No. Look, yes, Trump has an idea on health care. His idea is to throw 32 million Americans off of the health insurance they have, doing away with insurance for kids who are 26 years of age or younger who are on their parents' plans, doing away with the protections that the ACA has for pre-existing conditions, Margaret. That means if you have cancer, you have heart disease, you have diabetes. If Trump gets his way, the cost of health insurance for you will be so high that many people literally will not be able to afford it. Thousands of people will literally die. That's Trump's health insurance plan. My plan's just a little bit different. I think we should join the rest of the industrialized world, guarantee health care to all people as a right, end the absurdity of the United States spending twice as much per capita on health care as any other nation, while our life expectancy is actually going down and our health care outcomes are worse than many other countries. And by the way, we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Margaret, let me make a campaign promise to you, and you can repeat this, play this tape over if I'm elected president. And that is, if I am elected president, I'm going to cut prescription drug costs in this country by 50% so that we are not paying any more than other major countries are paying. Maybe we can do better than that. Because we will look at the average costs of prescription drugs in Canada, the UK, Germany, Japan, and France.
Well,
we will look at their average costs, which are 50% lower than they are in the United States, and we will do that. And if the pharmaceutical industry, which made the five major companies made $50 billion in profits last year, they pay their CEOs outrageous compensation packages. If they don't like that, they will take a look at their patents.
When are you going to reintroduce your Medicare for All plan in this Congress? So you've already got people supporting it.
We're going to do that within the next couple of weeks.
Next couple of weeks.
We are going to do, yes.
I like how she like making it like she's like digging on something. But
You failed at a got you. He gave you a great promise and
Raise
an
the
exciting
stakes.
proposal. There's no like, that wasn't even a bad exchange for you. Just
No.
accept that it was positive instead of negative.
Like, I will see your gotcha and raise you something even better.
That's like the thing about private insurance last week when Bernie's on his best foot when he's up in the ante a little bit.
Absolutely.
yeah, it's very hard to
was on
argue.
Kamala
I
Harris
mean,
as my best
once
foot.
you get out of that, like, but you're changing. You want to change. It's like it's like Trump wants to lower the threshold or lower the number of people who are eligible for overtime. You want to raise it, but you both want to change it.
Both. You know who I hold? Not. I'll individualize this. I'm sure not big picture failings of journalism wise, but a specific individual that I hold responsible for that. I cut my teeth getting a little high and watching Tim Russert, and he was the master of like. But no, you would notice like, this was your position on taxes. You said this about Iraq. There was never a thread of like, is there a difference between supporting an illegal invasion or opposing one? Is there? It was all, you were here, now you're there. What's that about?
That was his shtick. In fact, he would say, that is my job, is just to record what they said and read that back to them. But
I guess why he's so nice to Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was just like, I lied to you about
Right.
WMD
I'm
6
doing
months
it again.
ago, and I'm lying about it now.
But can you imagine someone, an announcer, a host saying, okay, your proposal is to lower taxes. But to be fair, your opponent wants to raise taxes. Like, would you rather anybody even offering
There's
that,
always the inbuilt
structure
anti-left bias. That's right.
of a question? To be fair, you guys basically have the same proposal. You want to lower taxes. She wants to raise taxes.
Or even, frankly, like in the context of this debate, you're somebody maybe wants to raise taxes a bit to provide full, complete, no BS coverage for every single person in this country. You, on the other hand, want us to pay a bunch of middleman fees to these companies that aren't serving us well.
The best phrase from that, though, is when he said thousands will literally die. Like, you could not frame it in a more clear way than that.